Now let's step up the play card play with what I like to call goat street ball. So you could play this way with the play cards after you've finished a hand of goat poker or goat numbers game, but you don't need to. And I haven't in this case. All I've done is deal 5 cards to each player and not done any trading. Just play. We're just going to play with the cards we were dealt, which didn't work out great for either of us. Although I have a lot of good players, nevertheless have 4 small forwards. That's the most versatile player, but not ideal for a lot of plays. My opponent has 3 centers, also not ideal. So the first thing you need to do is you need to arrange the play cards, as you see here, to kind of imitate a court, right? You've got a baseline play over here on the side. You've got a post play right here. Imagine the hoop is here. You've got the mid-range in here. You've got a drive coming in from the perimeter, and you've got the 3 out at the perimeter. So now what we're going to do is we are going to flip a coin to see who goes first. I'm using a Canadian toonie because it's more interesting than most American coins. And let's say I'm heads. Oops. You can't see what it landed on, but it landed on tails, and my opponent will go first. Now, if you're playing just one person, all you need to do is play the mathematically best play every time for your opponent, and then you strategize however you want. If you're playing 2 players, both players should be strategizing. So we're just going to go strong and quick on my opponent's team. Remember, we can see each other's cards now. So my opponent decides they're looking strong at the center. The center is a post play. You can see C is +0. So the center is +0. And I have to defend against that. Who am I going to bring to the table? Since I've got 2 number 1 small forwards and I really want to prevent this score, I'm going to bring out this number 1 small forward. You can see that small forward is +2. And what does that mean? That means that the offensive player, my opponent, needs to flip the coin and hit heads 1 time before before hitting 3 tails. Tails is always defense, heads is always offense. And the number of flips required is determined by adding the rank to the card's number according to position. So center is +0, so my opponent needs 1 head, and I need 3 tails. So whichever one of those 2 numbers we reach first, that decides the play. So I'm going to flip out off camera because you can't really see. And the first one's a tails, so I'm on my way. It's 0-1. The second one's a tails, so it's 0-2. Now it's whatever this is, that determines the play. And it's a tails, which means, despite the fact that I was at a disadvantage, I stopped the center from scoring on the post. It becomes my turn on offense, and I'm going to go with my strongest play, which is my number 1 small forward on the drive. My opponent doesn't have anybody great to defend that. They could go with the number 2 shooting guard, which adds 1, so for a total of 3. Or they could go with the number 3. They could just waste one of their centers and try and save them for later. Let's say they use the number 4 center. That's basically giving me the points because I would have to flip 7 tails because it's a number 4 center and center is +3 before I hit 1 heads because the small forward is +0. So let's say they do that because they know they want to save their plays for later. And I flip, and I hit tails, and I flip, and I hit heads. So now I score. So now the score is 2-0 to me. But the ball goes back to the opponent. Now you can play, since this is street ball rules, where you actually have to take back possession, and until you do, the offensive player can keep scoring. I find that changes the game in the way that can make it lopsided, but it's up to you. So the ball is now back in my opponent's possession. They want to come out strong again. They go with they're going to shoot a 3 from their number 1 point guard. Point guards are +0 from the 3. Pretty obvious considering who the player is. And I want to stop that because that's 3 points. So I'm going to do my best, bring out what I've got. So I'm going to bring out my number 3 small forward. Small forward is +2. So my opponent has to flip 1 heads before they flip 5 tails in order to score. I need them to flip 5 tails in a row to stop them. So first flip, it's heads. They've already scored. So the score is 3-2 to my opponent. And we each have 2 cards left. Each have 1 offensive play left. So it's my turn. I look at what they've got. I want to go with my power forward. Where's my power forward strongest? Well, he's strongest on the baseline, but the center is strong there too. I could try something a little crazier, but there's nothing really that gives me a huge advantage here. So I'll just go with my center strongest play. I need 4, because power forward is +0. I need 4 heads before my opponent, the number 3 center is +1, before my opponent gets 4 tails. So now it's just a race to who can get 4 first. So 1 head, that's 1-0 to me. 1-1, 2-1, 2-2, 3-2. Terrible flip. 4-2. So I score. So the score is 4-3, but they have a chance to answer with their final play. So they've got their shooting guard. There's no reason not to go for his strongest play. He's the number 2 shooting guard. Mid-range is +0 for the shooting guard. All I've got left is a number 5 small forward, so I'm +1. So 2-6. They need to get 2 heads before they get 6 tails. Sounds pretty easy. Heads, so it's 1-0. And another heads, 2-0. They've scored. So 5-4 there. Now, what I like to do if I'm just playing Goat Street Ball is to play to 21. That's also helpful because you'll notice that because my opponent won the coin flip, they got 3 offensive plays to my 2. Now, over the course of 21, it goes back and forth. So I like to play Goat Street Ball where you just immediately draw again and play another hand.